Morning.
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 Yeah, we will start the session now, uh, if the host permits me. Uh, okay, so I hope you are able to hear my voice.
Yes, sir, it's audible.
Yes,
Fantastic.
it's audible.
Great. So another thing is I would request everybody to mute their microphones so that we have least of the disturbances. So a good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are keeping safe and healthy along with your families in this lockdown period. I'm Yatindra Srivastava from Pune, an associate of Allied Boston Consultants. First of all, I would like to say thanks to Consultants Consortium of Chennai to give me this opportunity to share some knowledge that I have about the latest version of CMMI model, which is version 2.0, which has replaced the earlier version, which was 1.3. A brief introduction about myself. Okay, those who have seen my video, don't go by that because that is an experimental a change of look during the lockdown. Because my photo on this slide and the look that you would have seen on the video is very, very different. So a brief introduction about myself. I'm an engineer by qualification and have about 30 years of experience in the industry, out of which about 27 years have been spent in the areas of business excellence, which is say 9001, CMMI, ISO 20000, etc. Quality management, information security and business continuity management, risk management, ERM and others. I've spent nearly 24 years in the corporate world with various big name companies like Microsoft, Sopra Steria, Lionbridge and others at various senior management positions, including as VP at Sopra Steria. I have been into full-time consulting now for a little more than 3 years. For CMM-based models, I have managed implementation programs for CMMI implementation at Lionbridge, Sopra Steria, and Microsoft, taking these organizations to maturity level 5 for both development as well as services. I have also consulted multiple organizations for CMMI implementation programs. I have attended CMMI appraisals as an appraisal team member for 8 different clients along with the lead appraiser. I have implemented and also been doing consulting assignments for various other management system standards, as you can see on the slide. As I said, I am an associate of Allied Boston. So as Allied Boston, we are a 20 plus years old consulting and training organization with a global presence with more than 25 in-house professionals and a strong team of engineers, management professionals, and domain experts empaneled. As a company, we ourselves are certified for ISO 9001 and ISO 27001. A little more about the company. So Allied Boston is a certain empaneled company with the Government of India. Our key practices are governance, risk and compliance, or what we call GRC, providing a holistic approach to governance transformation, including IT governance, IT security, business continuity, and risk and compliance. Then we have transformational practices, where helping organizations to rethink, redesign, and re-engineer their strategic business directions to achieve value creation, risk optimization, and resource optimization. The services in this area include business transformation, technology transformation, and operational transformation. Then we have sustainability practices, helping organizations to develop and manage sustainable management systems, ensuring compliances and certifications. The areas of expertise include climate change, energy, environment, health and safety, corporate social responsibility, and sustainable management. And finally, we are doing a lot of work in management systems, models, and frameworks. For the last 20 years of our existence, we have been providing consulting, training, and assessment services across almost all business domains, as you can see on the screen, covering government and public sector, manufacturing, financial sector, processing, other services, infrastructure, and IT and ITES organizations. So coming to the topic. So today, I would be giving you a very brief overview of the new version of CMMI, which is Capability Maturity Model Integration. This is version 2.0. The earlier version, 1.3, is scheduled to be sunset in September 2020, which means that after September of 2020, this year, there will not be any more appraisals against version 1.3. And all the organizations which wants to go for CMMI or have already been appraised at various levels for version 1.3, they would need to migrate to version 2.0. So we are talking about capability maturity model. So first thing that I would like to talk about is what is capability. So according to McKinsey and Company, capability is anything an organization does well that drives meaningful business results. Look at it, the focus is on meaningful business results. All organizations have capabilities. What many don't have is a process by which they can measure their different capabilities against best practices and pinpoint which ones are driving higher performance. Capabilities are typically organizational level skills, abilities, and knowledge embedded in people, processes, infrastructure, and technology. Capabilities are what an organization needs to execute its business model or fulfill its mission. So the CMMI model helps build the organizational capabilities in all these areas in a very, very structured format, moving slowly from one maturity level to another, slowly building the capabilities. Let's delve down a little more deeper into this. This is a survey, results of a survey that CMMI Institute conducted. And some of you as consultants who have spent a lot of years in the consulting domain might be surprised to see these results. If you see, almost 50% of the organizations worldwide who participated in the survey do not have standard process assets. They don't have standard processes, they don't have standard templates, methodologies, etc. Almost one third of them said that they don't have a visibility in how their plans are working or may not be working, and because of that, they can't do any mid-year course corrections. They don't know where they are going. And a big number of respondents, 54% for that matter, do measure something or maybe nothing, but not what is really important for them or something that can help them improve. So a lot of companies are measuring, but they are measuring because auditors wants to see some measurements. I'm sorry to be a little sarcastic, but that's how it happens. I have been doing consulting and auditing for various organizations, and when I ask them for the measurements, they'll show me a lot of measurements, a lot of nice reports, charts, graphs. And when I ask them, what do you do with these and how these measurements are helping, the answer is because we have to comply to some standard. So no pun intended, and yes, sounding a little sarcastic, we all can very honestly agree that a lot of these organizations would be boasting about their certifications, maybe multiple of them. It may be a wake-up call for us, our consultants. You know, what's happening is that often organizations focus too much on the finish line, what they want to achieve, and not enough on capabilities which will help them achieve what they want to achieve and to sustain those achievements. So they don't really focus on this, the muscles they need to build and strengthen to get there. Once the organizations confront the facts that they do or do not have the capabilities, they can then begin building capabilities to keep ahead of the competition and secure repeatable business success. See, we are all Indians, and I now, moving towards my old age, have started reading Ramayana. So one of the, I remember a situation that has been described there in Ramcharitmanas. This is just before Hanumanji went to Lanka to look out for Sita. So there was a sea, and everybody was thinking that who can go and get the confirmed news whether Sita ji is really in Lanka or not. Everybody was deliberating, but Lord Hanumana was just keeping quiet. Those, okay, nothing against anybody's religious beliefs or anything, but as per the Hindu mythology, Lord Hanumana, our so-called monkey god in the world, is supposed to be the strongest person or god or creature who has ever born on this earth. Hello?
Sorry.
Okay. So the mythology says that Hanumana never was quite aware of the capabilities that he had, and he was supposed to be reminded. So in this particular episode, Jamban asks Hanumana that Hanumana, that you are the strongest, and why are you keeping quiet? You are the son of the wind, that is Vayu. Hanumana is known as Vayu Putra, and you are as strong as Vayu himself. You are the unlimited source of knowledge, logic, and science. There is nothing in this world that is difficult for you, and you are born to help Lord Rama in these difficult times. This reminded Hanumana of his capabilities, and he realized and said, oh, this is just a small sea, and I can jump it across and just like that, and do whatever is required. So what I'm trying to say here is that once the organizations are made to realize about their capabilities or to acknowledge a lack of their capabilities, they can start their journey to the real business excellence beyond just the certifications. So they are the Hanumanas, and we as consultants need to become Jambans. Okay, here are some definitions of interest. A lot of people sometimes get intrigued by what do you mean by some of these. Most of you are into consulting business and know these definitions, but let's quickly read them. So what is a model? A model is the presentation in schematic form, often in a simplified way, of an existing or future state or situation. For example, CMMI. CMMI is a model. Then we have the standards. We are all very familiar about the standards, like ISO standards, etc. So a standard is a document that provides requirements, specifications, guidelines, or characteristics that can be used consistently to ensure that materials, products, processes, and services are fit for their purpose. Hello? Hey, I've started my video, but do you really need this? Because this would take a lot of bandwidth. And do you really want to see my face? It's not so beautiful.
Thanks for the preview, Nathaniel. Let's switch off the video.
Yeah, so I'll stop this. Moving on, we have the frameworks. So what is a framework? A framework is or contains a not completely detailed structure or system for the realization of a defined result or goal. Compared with methods, frameworks give the user much more freedom regarding the partial or entire use of the framework and the use of methods or techniques therein. For example, COSO is a framework. ITIL is a framework. Then you have guidances. A guidance is the recommended practice that allows some discretion or leeway in its interpretation, implementation, or use. For example, ISO 27005. And then we have the body of knowledge. A BOK is a complete set of concepts, terms, and activities that make up a professional domain as defined by the relevant community of professionals or professional association. A body of knowledge is the accepted set of standard terminology for a specific domain. A professional reading list, a library, a website, or a collection of websites, a description of professional functions, or even a collection of information like DMBOK, Data Management Book of Knowledge. So why this distinction is important? Standards gives you the certifications. An organization may get appraised or assessed against a model to provide a detail of conformance. Like for example, you get certified against an ISO standard, but you get assessed for a CMMI maturity level. You don't get certified against CMMI. I know some of you would have questions around this, which you can keep a note of those, and we can talk during our Q&A session towards the later half of the session. And PMBOK. PMBOK, people say, oh, I'm certified against PMBOK. PMBOK is just a book of knowledge, nothing else. Right? So moving on. Benefits of CMMI version 2.0. I'm sure some of you would be aware, or rather most of you would be aware with the CMMI 1.3 model. So these benefits are not about the CMMI itself, but about the version 2.0. What are the benefits it is bringing as in comparison with version 1.3? So here are a couple of them. It improves business performance, leverage current best practices, build agile resiliency and scale, benchmark capability and performance, and accelerate adoption. Improve business performance. So performance practices are built into CMMI Dev 2.0 at all maturity levels. so that organizations can better understand their business needs and track, measure, and achieve their performance goals. We will talk about this a little more in detail once we move with the session. But just to tell you, each of the practice areas within CMMI 2.0 have the practices built at each maturity level, unlike version 1.3, where the process area itself was at a particular maturity level. Somebody has said, can't see the presentation video. Are you able to see the videos or the slides? Okay. So if you see, there are level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The practices at level 0 talks of inconsistent performance. Do whatever you want. At level 1, you address the performance issues. We'll talk about all these in a little more detail. Level 2, you monitor your project performance against the objectives. At level 3, you focus on not only the project objectives, but the organizational objectives. Level 4, we say statistics, statistics, statistics. And level 5, it's all about the optimization of the performance. Take a second to digest the slide. Then leverage current best practices. A lot of people you would have heard saying that CMMI is not useful when we are using the new methodologies like Agile or maybe supplier management. So this model has been accentuated with multiple guidance from various industry best practices like Agile and is regularly being updated with changing industry scenarios. Now, the best part is this is not a standard model which will be there and will remain as is for years to go. The practices, the requirements will remain the same, but supporting material is changing at a higher frequency, and the updated model is always available to you whenever you want to have a look. So till the previous version of CMMI, there was a misconception that it is not applicable or useful for organizations. Using Agile, we have talked about this. Moving on, they have included the specific guidance to help organizations that use Agile methods for development to strengthen their processes and scale their Agile practices with the focus on performance. I was attending one of the Agile sessions, and somebody was saying that Agile means no documentation. And then one of the Agile trainers said that Agile is the biggest scam ever in the process industry. Okay, let's not discuss that, but you all understand that Agile is nothing big except that we are doing development in small pieces rather than as a big bang exercise. Benchmark capability and performance. So appraisal results can be used to help an organization benchmark its capability and performance against similar organizations in the industry, win business, and select trusted suppliers. So you can say we are at maturity level 1, or we are at maturity level 3, or we are at maturity level 5, and our competitors are at certain other maturity levels. And this is how we can compare ourselves. And then it accelerates adoption because this comes with a group of, or rather a complete set of documents which are available for to get the guidance and as well as to help you get a clear path to start with CMMI or to transition from 1.3. So they have defined a complete cycle of learn, establish objectives, analyze, develop action plan, deploy improvements, and assess capability. The whole cycle and methodology of implementation or transition has also been recommended by the CMMI Institute so that it becomes easier for the organizations to adopt. So these are the 5 benefits we have talked about. Now moving on to the structure of CMMI. Like in various ISO standards, we have the clauses. And CMMI being a model is a little more detailed than any of the ISO standards. This also provides you requirements in terms of practices. All these practices, they have practice areas. Related practice areas have been coupled or grouped together to define the capability areas, and these capability areas are again grouped into categories. Or if you read it the other way, the entire CMMI model has been categorized into categories. Categories are further divided into capability areas, which further are divided into practice areas, which defines the practices. We'll see those. So categories are the logical groups of capabilities or capability areas that address common and prevalent problems encountered by businesses when producing or delivering solutions. Each category consists of a related set of best practices for performing the work. Then what are capability areas? Capability areas are the groups of related practice areas that can provide improved performance in the skills and activities of an organization or work effort. It describes a predefined set of practice areas that make up a specific capability area. And capabilities are what an organization needs to execute its business model or fulfill its mission. And then we have the practice areas, is a set of similar practices that collectively describe the critical activities needed to achieve a defined intent and value. Now, these are 2 very, very important words here in the practice area. If you are aware of ISO CMMI 1.3, there they called goals. And there were process areas. So for every process area, there was a goal, and goals were mandatory. And then there were specific practices and generic practices. That structure has gone now. Now there are no specific practices or generic practices kind of differentiation. And instead of the goal, they have talked about the intent and the value. So when an organization is implementing CMMI v2.0, they have to demonstrate that they have been able to meet the intent of each of the practice area, and they have been able to achieve the value for each of the practice areas. So this is how you can look at it. I see a couple of chats happening. Is there a problem or something? Okay, there are a couple of questions. I think we can keep it towards the end. We'll take it up later. So these categories are divided. So as we said, there are 4 categories. One is doing, which is the capability areas for producing and delivering the quality solutions. This is where you actually do the work related to your product or the service. Then there is category for managing. So these are the capability areas for planning and managing implementation of solutions. You have enabling, These are the capability areas for supporting solution implementation and delivery. And then you have improving, where you have the capability areas for sustaining and improving performance. So when we are talking about the ISO standards or comparing with the ISO, they usually follow the PDCA cycle. Here the PDCA cycle is not directly linked, but if you see, managing would be P and C, doing would be D, improving would be A, and enabling would be all supporting supporting functions, clauses that are there in ISO as well. Moving on. So here is the first category, that is doing. It has got three capability areas: ensuring quality, engineering and developing products, selecting and managing suppliers. Within ensuring quality, we have requirements development and management, where you actually develop the requirements and manage changes. Process quality assurance, verification and validation, and you have peer reviews. Somebody might ask that requirements development is actually an engineering activity. Why it has been kept in ensuring quality? Yeah, even I have a doubt about this. We can have discussions and there are various arguments, but my understanding is that an effective and efficient management of requirements is the basic foundation for delivering a quality product. And most of the time, when a product or the service fails, the culprit would be poorly managed requirements. So this is my personal perception and submission based on my experience. I know we have a lot of very, very senior consultants with a lot more experience than me, may have different views on this, which we can discuss later if required. Then we have engineering and developing products, EDP, which is about the technical solution, which takes care of design and development. Then we have product integration, which is all about integration, packaging, release, and delivery. Then we are selecting and managing suppliers. So we have supplier agreement management. Moving on, we have managing for planning and managing work, which is estimating, planning, monitoring, and control. Then you are managing business resilience, which is about risk and opportunity management. Managing the workforce, which is organizational training. You have enabling, which is supporting implementation, where you have the causal analysis and resolution, decision analysis and resolution, and you have configuration management. And then you have improving, wherein you have building and sustaining capability, which talks of governance, implementation infrastructure. Okay, there's a mistake in this slide. Monitor and control should have been removed, but by mistake it is still there. My mistake, my apologies. Then you have improving performance, where you have process management, process asset development, and managing performance and measurement. So as I was talking about, each of these practice areas that you see here are further divided into practices. And these practices are mapped to the maturity level for that particular practice area, which means there are practices at maturity level 1, at maturity level 2, at maturity level 3 for each of the practice areas. And these are in an evolutionary level. Each level builds on the previous levels by adding new functionality or sophistication, resulting in increased capability. Level 0 may be an incomplete approach. Level 1 talks about the basic practices that describe the initial approach and may not be able to meet the complete or the full intent of the PA. Level 2 are simple practices, but a complete set of practices to meet the full intent of the PA. Level 3, wherein the projects use the organizational processes and standards, and tailoring is a very important factor when we are talking of level 3. Level 4 says measure, 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 and manage using statistics, statistics, statistics. And level 5 is all about optimizing. So use of statistical and other quantitative techniques to optimize performance and to demonstrate that you have achieved the process performance objectives. Let's have a quick look at an example. So if you see, I'm talking of MPM, Manage Performance and Measurement. So at level 1, you have two practices, MPM 1.1 and MPM 1.2. In the number, the first digit indicates the level. So if you see at level 1, it simply says you collect measures and you identify performance issues. Whichever way you want to do it, and you are done. At level 2, it becomes a little more matured, which says derive and record measurements and performance objectives, operational definitions of measures, collect the data, analyze performance, take actions. Level 3 says that this should be developed as per the organizational standards of the measurements or as per the organizational processes, and not only measuring and controlling the project performance, you measure and control the organizational performance as well. Level 4 is all about statistics. Level 5 is analyze performance data using statistical and other quantitative techniques, predict whether you will be able to achieve, and if you think that you will not be able to achieve the objectives, then take correction and make corrective actions to improve your performance. So this is how the practices have been established. Just a quick look. If you want to achieve level 3, there are practice areas at level 2, right from implementation infrastructure, governance, RDM, ESP plan, MCCM, PQA, SAM, MPM, AITS, and level 3, where is VV, PR, PAD, CM, OT, RSK, DAR, and CAR. So let's take an example. If you want to do level 3, then you have to demonstrate that you have implemented all the practices at level 1, level 2, and level 3 for all of these practice areas. These are marked as purple. There are practice areas available at level 4 and level 5 for CAR, OT, MPM, SAM, plan, and governance. If you want to go to level 4, then you have to include these level 4 practices as well. And the blocks which are marked in black, which means there are no practices at this level. So if you see, even if you want to go to level 5, configuration management, there are practices only up to level 2. So this is how it is structured. This is basically a slide for your information, which you can read later once you get the presentation, which talks about the intent and the value for each of the practice areas that have been described. So you have RDM, which is to develop product requirements and manage changes to the requirements. Then you have PQA, which is basically conduct internal process audits. VV is to conduct product reviews and testing. PR, to conduct peer reviews. TS, design, develop code. and conduct unit testing of the product. PI is to integrate product components, conduct integration testing, package and deliver along with the user manuals. Then you have SAM, identify and manage suppliers and their products and services. EST to estimate effort, cost, budget and schedule. Plan to plan the project for budget, schedule, resources, capacity, quality, functionality, risks and opportunities, dependencies, stakeholders, skills, etc. Then you have MC, which is monitor progress against the plan and control any deviations. RSK, to identify and manage risk and opportunities. OT, to identify, plan and deliver trainings, evaluate training effectiveness. CAR, to conduct causal analysis and implement corrective actions. DAR, structured decision making for critical decisions. And CM, to manage and protect product configurations. Then you have governance, which is to define and implement policies, implement governance through management reviews. II, provide implementation and support infrastructure. PCM, implement continual improvement process. PAD, define, implement and monitor organizational processes. And MPM, measure and monitor process performance at project and organization level. So that was a very quick session on this. And that's all from my side. Thank you all the participants. And now if you want, we can take up some of the questions.